Let's talk about something that, let's be honest, most parents really dread: talking to your kids about drugs and alcohol. This is one of those topics where the old advice isn't just outdated, it can be downright dangerous. It's all about building trust now. So let's get into how you can have this conversation in a way that actually works and really protects them.
Okay, let's start with a scene I think every parent has played out in their head. Your teenager walks through the door, and your gut just screams that something is wrong. Maybe you smell something, maybe they're just acting weird. Your heart starts pounding, right? How you handle that one single moment, well, it can either crack open the door to an honest talk or slam it shut for good. So why is getting that comment right so incredibly important? Well, this one statistic really stopped me in my tracks. Researchers have found that kids who feel like their parents aren't really monitoring them are 4 times more likely to use drugs. And listen, monitoring isn't about being a detective and spying on them. It's about connection. It's just about being so present in their life that they know you're paying attention. To really get the urgency here, we have to start with a tough pill to swallow. The world our kids are growing up in is not the one we knew. The risks have totally changed, and honestly, they've gotten so much more dangerous. The old rulebook, it just doesn't apply anymore.
The biggest, scariest change is just how lethal street drugs are now. And the main reason for that is fentanyl. It's a synthetic opioid, and it's being pressed into fake pills that look exactly like prescription meds. For teenagers, this has become the #1 threat. We're seeing poisoning deaths skyrocket among 14 to 23-year-olds. And the most terrifying part, it can take just one pill, one time.
And here's the other thing. Even the drugs that sound familiar are a whole different ballgame now. Take cannabis, for example. The stuff that's available today is 3 to 4 times stronger than what was around in the 90s. This is not your Woodstock-era pot. And that incredible potency brings a whole new set of risks that we're really just starting to figure out. And then, of course, there are vapes. They're everywhere, right? They've got these sweet, candy-like flavors, but they are literally engineered with insane levels of nicotine. They're designed for one purpose: to get a teenager addicted, and to get them addicted fast. The way they're disguised is a huge part of the danger. Okay, so looking at this new landscape, yeah, it can feel completely overwhelming. But here's the good news. All the research shows that those old scare tactic approaches, they just don't work. What does work? An approach that's built on honesty and connection. So let's talk about what that actually looks like in real life. Do you remember those Just Say No campaigns? Well, the experts are pretty clear. That stuff totally backfires. Think about it. You give your kid this big, scary lecture, and then they see their friends try something, and nothing horrible happens immediately. Poof. Just like that, your credibility on everything else is shot. So the modern approach is to switch from a one-time lecture to an ongoing, honest conversation. That's how you become their trusted source of info.
So how do you even start this without it being a big, awkward, scary thing?
Well, the trick is to start early, way before middle school if you can, and just keep it casual. You can use things you see in a movie or hear in a song as a jumping off point. Ask them, hey, what do you think about that? And then just listen. Listen way more than you talk. The real goal here is just to create a space where they know no topic is off limits with you. It's that foundation of trust that lets you get into the conversations that parents are often the most scared of. So let's tackle the 2 biggest ones head on, talking about your own past and what to do if addiction runs in your family. This is the question, isn't it? The one that keeps you up at night. If you experimented when you were younger, do you tell them? Look, there's no perfect answer for every family, but there is one absolute truth. If they ever find out you lied about it, all that credibility you've been building is gone, instantly. So if you do decide to be honest, you've got to follow a few ground rules. First, give it context. You have to explain that the drugs today are so much more dangerous than they were back then. Second, share what you regret about it, what you learned. And finally, make it absolutely clear that their safety is your #1 priority now. As one parent put it, when she came along, all of that stopped because she was the most important thing to us. Now for that other really tough conversation. What if your child might have a genetic predisposition for addiction? This is something you really can't just sweep under the rug. They have a right to know, not to scare them, but to empower them. And you can explain this in really simple terms. For a younger kid, it might just be, in our family, some people have had problems with this. And that means you might be more likely to have a problem too. For an older teen, you could be more direct. Some brains, like some in our family, seem to be more hardwired for addiction.
The point is to make it clear this isn't some life sentence. It's just a crucial piece of information they need to have so they understand why being extra careful is so important for them. So the conversation is the starting line, but it has to be backed up by the entire environment you create at home. And that means having clear rules, being a good role model, and knowing exactly what to look for. Your kids, they need to know where the bright lines are. You have to set firm, non-negotiable rules, like zero tolerance for substance use under 18. But, and this is key, you pair that rule with a safety net, an anytime, anywhere policy, where they know they can call you for a safe ride home, no lectures, no questions asked. Having those clear rules in place dramatically reduces risky behavior. And you also have to be paying attention. Your teen isn't going to come up to you and announce they're experimenting. You have to watch for the warning signs. A sudden, drastic change in friends, becoming way more secretive, maybe money goes missing, or you see these huge mood swings. Catching these changes early can literally be a lifesaver. And that brings us to maybe the most powerful tool you have in your entire arsenal, your own behavior. Think about it. If a parent comes home after a tough day and their first words are, I need a drink," they are teaching a coping skill without saying another word. The alternative? Modeling healthy ways to deal with stress, and even talking about it out loud. Your actions are the most powerful lesson you will ever teach. Okay, we have covered a ton of ground here. The dangers, the strategies, the rules. I get it, it can feel like a lot. But listen, you don't have to be perfect. You just have to start. So let's make this really concrete. Here's your action plan for this week. It's super simple. Number 1, find one casual, natural moment to bring up the topic. No big sit-down necessary. 2, just ask them what they've already heard about drugs and alcohol at school or from friends. And 3, share one fact you learned here today that surprised you. That's it. Start small, be consistent, and just stay connected. In the end, it really all boils down to this. Every single honest conversation you have builds another plank on that bridge of trust. Every time you really listen without judging, you become the safe person they can actually turn to when things get real. I know this conversation is hard, but it might just be the most important one you ever have, because their life could very, very well depend on it.